Good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time you're tuning in the program called What's Going On FlintTalkRadio.com. I'm George Moss, the host of the program, and as you can see, we have our co-hosts here this afternoon. That's Miss Catherine Hunter-Williams, the one and only.
Hotep.
And we're glad to see you, Catherine, as always, with your new look, by the way.
Thank you. I'm enjoying it.
Catherine told me not to mention her new look, but I just couldn't help but mention it. John, I don't know if you even noticed it, but Catherine has a...
You can't help but to notice this gorgeous hair. Hey, and it's all mine.
It's all yours.
It's all mine. I paid for it and bought it.
Okay.
It's mine. No Wendy Williams here, though.
The price tag is just off of the hair.
No Wendy Williams.
No Wendy Williams.
You might see me next week with a whole nother thing.
When you say Wendy Williams, you mean what?
Wendy Williams, that's what she wears, wigs. And she's proud of wearing her wigs. Yeah.
I don't even know who Wendy Williams is.
She has a talk show. Is my mic on? Talk. 1, 2. Okay.
If they're not on news programs, I don't know who they are because I don't watch any television unless I'm watching some news.
She has a talk show on BET or TV1, one or the other,
right,
and
I think it's BET. I don't get
Wendy Williams.
Wendy Williams. Okay, I can look her up.
Big tall woman, look like a trans. Well, I'm gonna not say that on there. She may hear that, but I know a transvestite can, or whatever they call it, transgenders can easily impersonate her. Mm-hmm. Like they do with others, but she would be very easy. You know who I'm talking about? Got big.
She's a stat.
She tall and big busted.
She's over 6 foot easily.
Really?
Yep, and she done had a lot of surgeries on her. She tells it all, and I like that about her because that's being real.
What is that person's name that was it a Ron Paul? Some person.
RuPaul.
RuPaul.
Yeah, I don't watch his show.
And is he still on? Mm-hmm. He's a
transvestite, or he's not transgender. He's transvestite.
Just what wears
women's clothing.
Women's clothing
And look like women. Man, they don't be playing.
I like to go back into those childhoods and just see what kind of upbringing those persons had. I'm always interested in what kind of things they went through.
RuPaul actually, as a man, he's bald-headed and he wear big glasses. But when he puts on his blonde wig and everything, I mean, he looks just like a blonde-haired with a tan white woman.
Mm-hmm. I think Phil Wilson started that, in terms of people coming in and, Geraldine. I think the character was called Geraldine.
Yeah, but I don't think he started that. That was going on. But he was first person black we seen on television.
Yeah, because Milton Berle would do that too. Mm-hmm. But I think he was the first. Was he the first black person that did that?
He was the first black I know that did it. He come out with Geraldine and.
You won't see me on the air or anywhere in public dressing like that.
It's another one. Ving Rhames, he comes out every now and then dressed as a woman, but I got a thing about him.
Ving Rhames.
Ving Rhames. Played on Rosewood.
Yes. He does that too?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Him and Wesley Snipes. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Ooh, ugly women.
Well,
portrayals of women.
Well, Martin Lawrence does the Big Mama.
And his mother.
And that's that role. I don't know what just can't.
He do that girl, can't think of her name, but.
I'm from old school. I'm kind of the one that believes in the traditional ways.
Well, as Martin say, he be laughing all the way to the bank. He don't care. So I said, well, I don't care either, bro.
Well, I care about my image, though. I have to represent myself. I guess I'm representing my mother. When I get out there in the public, I think I'm representing a lot of folks, the people that help bring me forward in my community and things like that. I was saying that, as a matter of fact, on my Facebook wall today about something entirely different, but it's also about the issue of bringing, representing out in public. And that was, did you hear about Kilpatrick today, the former mayor of Detroit, who was found guilty of 24 counts.
Really?
Out of 30
I've been watching him, but I
charges.
hadn't heard it today.
What I made out of that when I said on my Facebook wall was that, you think about the slaves being in those fields and toiling and all of that work that they did kind of led to this day in which we are now able to be empowered, and we are coming with this kind of stuff with Jesse Jackson Jr. over in Chicago and this Kilpatrick down in Detroit.
These are the young ones, though, that's doing that.
Yeah, can we gather
about? But was his father indicted with him also, Kilpatrick's father?
That's the other part of it. I think he was indicted on 9 counts. There's another person I think got 7 counts. It was a lot of folks that was in.
This happened today or over the weekend?
I had a text message on today that somebody had texted me about the latest developments and said, "Have you heard the news?"
I've been watching and reading, getting the paper and everything, trying to keep up with it, but I didn't get it today.
It's so disconcerting, to see the empowerment that has been made possible by the suffering of those generations that went before us. And now we have opportunities, and we get in there thinking it's time to get the hands in it's a candy store and reach in there and get all the fiduciary.
Is that what happens to them?
Yeah, just a power craze kind of thing.
Of money, because they have money. Why they just get greedy or something?
They want more. It's like more and more. They had a thing on this guy. Listen to it on the way to the studio. This guy out there in New York on the East Coast, and Bloomberg, the mayor of New York, and how he's just one thing after another. He's wants to now ban. He's banned the sugar. Can't have no sugar in your pop. Can't drink more than 16 ounces.
Now he wants to ban headphones.
Want to ban headphones. Want to ban styrofoam cups. Now, I don't know. He's an expert in all the areas. Somebody said yesterday he had $27 billion. I guess he's kind of bored. But
so he ain't got nothing to do.
Yeah, he has all the money. So now what they want all the power. They want to, just kind of be in your face.
Well, he threw it out when he banned the 2-liter cups and pops and stuff like that. He threw that power out.
I think I'd go to jail because I have to test that case of whether or not you can tell me how much pop I can put in my own body.
Yeah.
And how
that
much
is
sugar.
taking a lot of control over a person's choices. I can't stand the thing when the government really get into our choices.
Yeah, between me and my own
tell
conscience,
us what we must do.
I want to make my own decisions, and
right or wrong,
one of them is what I eat. I never thought they'd get between me and my taste buds. Nobody but Budweiser, and I don't even drink Budweiser.
Well, Bloomberg is okay with banning sugary drinks, but he's okay with underage girls getting birth control pills and stuff like that without the parents' knowledge, and getting abortions without the parents' knowledge. He's just a wacko.
Yeah,
which is more severely damaging to a child.
He got that third term. We got 9 more months to suffer with Bloomberg. He got that other term by paying off the city council person. He kind of gave them. Yeah, it was 2-term limit. Should have been 1 for Bloomberg, but in his third term.
It's a 2-term limit, but they gave him a 3, another?
They did.
Because it is 2 terms, isn't it?
Yeah. What it was that he was able to kind of spread some of the joy around, and you know how we can't resist those George Washingtons. And so he kind of bought the third term by them changing the premises upon which the mayor's position is operative. But it's just a travesty that a man will be injecting himself continuously into people's lives. And once he accomplishes this intrusion, he goes to something else. I don't think he'll be satisfied until he gets out of there. We got to get him out. Now, don't change it again for a 4th term. If it's now limited to 3 terms, let's not do a Hugo Chavez here.
Well, as John said, he is very contradictory. He approves of abortions and everything, but then when you're drinking a 2-liter pop, he don't want you to do that. That's actually the scope, a far wide gamut, isn't it?
Yeah, see, I'm not really vehemently anti-abortion. I mean, I guess I sit on the fence. A lot of people don't like me, but it's not a safe procedure. Especially in a child. I think a child should not be making that decision on their own. And he's okay with a child making a decision with the help of a teacher or somebody, of course.
Yeah, without parents' consent.
Yeah. That is incredible.
And it's so he's such a he's so bizarre. I mean, I don't see, he's all over the place on his reasoning. I mean, growing up like you and I don't drink 2 liters of pop a day. 2 liter probably lasts me an entire week, okay?
Ooh, not me.
But if somebody wants to drink, I had a friend that drank 2 liters of regular pop, 2 liters every day. I mean, during the course of his day, he functioned fine.
I used to, too, once upon a time.
I'm trying to figure out the kind of mindset it takes for you to think you have something to do with how much pop a person puts in his body, his or her body, and how much sugar they should have in their coffee. I don't have any enjoyment, nor do I feel anywhere invited to make those kinds of decisions. And I can't understand the mindset when you start talking about you want to regulate how much sugar is in person's coffee and how much pop they can drink. I don't know where that man comes from.
I have a friend who watches my Facebook postings, and he's always trying to tell me not to like as much stuff as I like, and he's always ragging. It's like, screw you. It's my Facebook page. And I was taking on somebody about argument one day last week about some teachers union. And because he's a teacher too, and he said, don't question this guy because he's a teacher. And I went, so? But he knows what he's talking about. Well, so do I, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is supposed to be a friend of mine, and he's trying to always talk. So, I mean, people think they got a right to
He wants you to tell you how to think.
Right, and it's like, I know what I think. I've
That's
been
what's
around
going
this.
on.
And the guy who's I'm arguing with, the guy I'm talking about, he's been teaching for like 5 years. He thinks he knows everything about it. Everything I told him was going to be a problem as a teacher has become a problem, but he doesn't admit to the fact that I knew it before he did, and I wasn't a teacher.
So. Well, I'm amazed.
Plus, he messed with the wrong one, didn't he, John?
So the wrong person when he tried to tell me.
Yes, he
was like,
did.
he's messaged me, this guy, he's a teachers union rep and all that. I said, I don't care. I've been fighting the teachers union since I was a kid. So I never have liked them. So, I mean, I know more about that history of that than that probably the guy is who's the president of the NEA now.
Yeah, I'd like to understand it better. I'm always trying to understand things that, sometimes are perplexing. And that's one of the things that is really puzzling me about persons that want to be powerful in the lives of other persons. I mean, even if they're not significant others. You want to have some presence in the lives of those who are your loved ones, your close friends, and things like that. You want to resonate, and have some impact upon their lives because you feel close to them. But for people that are strangers, and you want to cultivate a space for yourself to be intrusive in their lives, I just can't understand that. I wish I could understand it. Catherine,
I got one question for you.
Okay.
And this is political. What does sequester mean? What are they doing with this big word that they done popped out on us?
Sequester is a legal term, and what they've done is put it in the political arena. We sequestered a jury, for example. It means isolation.
Isolate.
It means privacy.
I kind of thought that was sequester.
And what I think they did, and this is my own analysis of it, is I think what they did was to take a legal term and then began to use it so as a cover-up, they're doing illegal things with it. Because the sequester is, as they're applying it, is that they're talking about how the automatic cuts will go into effect if they could not come up with a budget, which they have not come up with a budget in 4 years. So then in 2011, the president, by the way, suggested this and said that
suggested the sequester?
That we have it on tape. So for the president to say all of a sudden that this was a Republican idea and he's trying to fight it, we have the president saying in November 2011 that this was something that he would that he wanted to have go forward. It emanates out of the White House. That's part of the problem that Bob Woodward has, by the way, in terms of Bob Woodward, who they told that in private conversation that came from the White House. He actually came out and said that, and for him to come out and say it, it gave the White House nightmares because no one can say that Bob Woodward, of all persons, is a conservative right-winger that wants to bring down the Liberal Party or the Democratic Party or want to interject himself negatively in those party politics from the left. This guy is on the left, and so that was really problematical when he came out and said sequester comes out of the White House. But it's just part of what Washington's doing now, where we can't get a straight statement out of Washington on anything.
They won't come together for much of anything, and it's always a mess. Why can't they come together for this budget?
Why can't they? And why would they tell us that they're cutting $85 billion out of the deficit when that's totally untrue? Catherine, the sequester is not about we got a $16.5 trillion deficit right now. It's not going to be $85 billion less than that. What they're talking about is that in 2000, for the fiscal year 2013, they had projected that the expenditures would be at a certain level, and what they did was that they lowered the projection by $85 billion, not the actual spending that they did this past year.
Oh.
So that's another lie that they told. See, when Obama said that he has cut the deficit by $2.5 trillion, what he's talking about is that over a 10-year period of time, they had projected the budget deficit is going to be this much money. Well, they're now coming in $2.5 trillion under the projection, where now the deficit itself is being reduced. I mean,
so it's messy.
It's funny. It's that funny math. We're talking about new math. This is the new math that only politicians can engage in. You try to do that with your bank account, you're going to be called in.
I call it messy.
Going to seize your assets. But we have some problems in Washington, and if we get this thing off the ground that I'm into right now, trying to get this Constitution Convention. I'm still working on that, by the way, out there, and I need your help. I need you to call me, get on Facebook. Let's have some private chats about it. I'm still running full steam ahead with the Constitution Convention, which, by the way, I just found out in the book written by Napolitano, Judge Napolitano, who also said in his book called The Constitution in Exile, I didn't know he had advocated that was one possibility, and that is called the Constitution Convention. I read it and I said, wow, we came to the same conclusion. Of course, he's a little bit more limited in what he wants to accomplish at a convention. I want to overhaul the whole thing. He just wants to bring back the federal system between the federal and state power and disaggregate the power between the federal level and the state level. But I want to overhaul a lot more than that and throw these bombs out of the Congress and have that in the Constitution where we limit the amount of service and all those things on all the federal offices. No re-election of any of these guys beyond a certain point. But that's down the road, and we're gonna get that done over the long haul. Catherine, I was telling you before the show started that lo and behold, believe it or not, they had a Black History program outside the month of February.
Dr. George Moss.
And
you a doctor now?
I'm a doctor. Yes, I am a doctor. I thought you knew that.
No, I was calling you chief.
And I'm chief also.
And professor.
Well, just give me.
Okay, John, I got it now, doctor.
Call me anything you want to. Just don't call me late for supper.
Okay.
As they say.
Okay,
but
doctor.
I was at this. It's called the Due Season Family Life Center, and I was there yesterday at the church for a Black History program, which they had in March. This is kind of unusual, you get called beyond February. February, you're real busy. Everybody's calling you. I was at a couple of churches.
I didn't get any calls this year. I was not surprised because I know they had been dwindling, but I didn't get not one call.
They're definitely dwindling because what they're doing now is that they feel that they've arrived, and we need not talk about the history that much anymore. But
well, you seem to be all over the place.
Look in the community and see what the conditions are out there. There's a lot of confusion out here, and we've got to use the history as a barrier, knock down these barriers we have where people just don't know and do not want to know, and have no inspiration to. I mean, we had 7,000. I think I heard on the radio 7,000 people dropping out of school a day, 26 persons dropping out every minute of every school day, and a lot of that comes out of this not having this historical grounding point, which would be inspiring to continue the legacy and go forward with it. But if you don't have any idea what you've accomplished in the past, you don't have any.
You have no foundation.
No foundation for building up anything to be done in the future.
And parents need to be doing it too, not just waiting for the schools to educate our children about their history or about the great achievements and contributions our people have made, not only in America, but also in the world. Parents need to do that. You have to give them that foundation also, as well as that family structured foundation. But knowing who you are brings a pride. A lot of this stuff that they are hearing and being called, and they don't have an ID, they just accept anything. And if they have that foundation of knowing who they are, where they came from, would help a lot.
I'll be at this school over here on Cowater Road, excuse me, on the 25th, and I'm trying to think about. I only have.
Is that adult school?
No, it's the Flint Academy.
Flint Academy up on Corona and.
No, it's on Corona. It's on Coldwater.
Oh, Coldwater. Okay.
It's a charter school that's right past Cloud Road.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to. It's only 15 minutes, so I've got to try to be impactful within a very limited amount of time. And I'm trying to concretize how I'm going to present the message to have the most impact in the time that's been allotted. And
How old are they?
These are middle school.
Middle school?
Somewhere around, I think the 7th and 8th grade.
I got a picture at the house that's with the fella sitting outside of jail bars, and that's what I used to take out when I talked to middle school and those high schoolers and those ones that have went back to those schools of choices or whatever. Mm-hmm. This is where you're going to end up at if you don't get an education. And then you explain the picture to them of the fella that's sitting in the folding chair and then the one that's behind the bars. This is a picture that was drawn by Claude Miller, and I got it from him, and that's the one I take out. And I hide it until I get ready to show. If you don't get it together, then I pull it out. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah, that would be powerful.
If you don't get yourself an education, stay in school. I think from the compliments and different things that I got from different students, especially the older ones, it worked for them. And give them stats on.
Yeah, I can see how that would have an impact. You know,
especially the folding chair, George. When you see it, I'll tell you a little bit more about it. But it's very impactful, and how it's set up, especially against American African children and Hispanics. Oh, yeah. God, yes.
Well, that program they had yesterday was very good, and I really enjoyed the fellowship at Due Season Family Life Center on Holbrook. And they have this gentleman that is the pastor there, Reverend Jarvis Richardson. I didn't know that I had impacted his life when he was a student. He was one of the ones in this college program down at U of M when I went down there and taught one summer to high school students in high school, but they were taking a summer program rather at the university. And he said he didn't know where he would be if he had not had that intervention at that time. I didn't even remember him in the classroom with so many people in the room. But he says that was a galvanizing moment where he began to really get off of stuck on, he didn't say stuck on stupid, but he was talking about he was spinning his wheels. And he got him unstuck, and now he's this person is doing great things in the community. But we all have to have our interventions. Catherine, I don't know if I ever told you or not, but my intervention was when I was in 8th grade, I read Up From Slavery by Booker T. Washington. And reading that book, you know, here I'm feeling sorry for myself because I'm poor and holes in my shoes. I'm putting cardboard in my shoes to go to school, and didn't have any lunch once I got there. And I was over there salivating at the mouth. Here, these kids throwing away the brown part of the bread, the out part of the bread, throwing it away. I'm over there starving, and they're throwing the bread away. I'm over there just I can't take it. But I read Up From Slavery, and when I read that book and saw how that slave, Booker T. Washington, came off that plantation and was on the QT and running, and went and built a school called Tuskegee Institute. You know what? I was ready then. I said, my goodness, if this guy can go out there and do what he did, and he came from a lot further back than I was. I had a bad situation, but it wasn't as bad as what he had. When I saw that, I saw a possibility at that point. Lights went off in my mind. I couldn't hardly wait to get back to the library, and I've been. So
Booker T. Washington was the one who
changed my life.
Changed your life.
It changed my
really?
life. And my mom had some experiences at Tuskegee because she went there for a period of time. She never did get a degree, got married and began to have a family. But she told me about Tuskegee, and she also told me about George Washington Carver, who was one of her teachers. You know, she's the one that told me that George Washington Carver.
He was a teacher there.
He was a teacher there, and he had a high-pitched voice. And she told me, she said, you know, he was castrated, and as a child, I didn't know what that meant. But when I heard his voice on tape years later, and I heard him say, "Okay, boys and girls," when I heard that voice, what my mom told me about him came back, and I now knew what the word castration meant, and that sound that he had made me aware of my mom having already instructed me about that. But that was the thing that pushed me forward, I think. And I had teachers that cared about us as well, telling us they loved us and didn't make excuses for us because our daddy would left home or we didn't have the lunch money. They still wanted you to do your homework and weren't making excuses for you to be stuck on being dumb. And I think that was part of it. But the thing that really made me begin to think about my future was the fact that I read this guy come off that plantation. I was telling you before the show started that I spoke at this church, and we had a really great time. It was, I think I must have spent about 20 minutes on the. I had to cut it short because I have a tendency to start running my mouth and then don't want to quit. And
Jarvis do too.
Yeah, and
he is my cousin by marriage.
He's your cousin by marriage?
Yeah, Pam is my cousin, his wife.
His wife's your cousin? Mm-hmm. Really? Mm-hmm. they have a great family, and I see the relationship they have with each other. Have a child, I think they told me 3-year-old child, and very dynamic young people. I always like to see young people.
Yeah,
They
tried. They
that,
finally got a baby.
that are moving forward. And they said they're going to have me back real soon. In fact, he told me he's going to give me the Life Achievement Award in April. And I don't know why I deserve any awards. I told him, no, when I come to your church, don't be giving me no baskets of fruit and don't be giving me any honorarium.
Well, we used to do that with the museum, and people didn't believe me when I would tell them, we're going to give you an award. Especially Sam Williams. He did not believe it when I told him that we were somewhere and both of us were speaking on this program. And I told him, I just knew the history about him, and I said, I think you deserve an award from us.
The DJ, is he still on he's still
on
there?
Sunday mornings. And so,
I want to give him an award, too.
I did give him one.
When I first came to Flint, he was on Wham.
Yep, WDZZ right now, today.
Marcellus Wilson, I think, was the other person. Marcellus Wilson.
Yep.
And when we had these dances, we'd bring Marcellus Wilson out, and he would bring the records. That's where everybody began to play.
But Sam Williams was way before Marcellus. And
he was out there a long time. I mean,
he was there. I was a teenager. I was 12, 11.
Really?
Yeah, and he could only play till the sun went down. You know, he only was on the radio for 3 hours. But that's how we got our black music. You know, and it was just from him.
I have some great memories about Sam Williams. He had that national anthem song. I can't think of the singer right now, but he played that national anthem, and it was one of those real dramatic. It was a black national anthem, as a matter of fact. Lift your voice and sing. And I wanted to do it in my Black Arts Festival, and I go down to the station, and they would trust me with the record, and trust I would bring it back. And I just kind of, it was community minded. So then he would help me with publicizing the program. So I owe him. I never said this on the air, and I haven't really talked about it.
Who, Sam Williams?
I just think I owe him because he was always there for me in terms of the things I was trying to do.
Yeah, he was.
And he was
and I would be on his show. He would have me on his show, and when I was doing the museum, and yeah.
Sam, if you're out there, we're giving you all your accoutrements right now, giving you your flowers. Don't bring any. Bring me some soup. To my funeral. Don't bring me any flowers. They said, well, you can't eat the soup. I can't smell the flowers either. Leave that out.
Extremely proud and happy to be able to have given a lot of people we have given awards to in the city of Flint through the museum, because we always would honor 3 to 4 people every year. But mostly it was from the University of Michigan students that had taken that Africana Studies class.
Okay.
That's what our connection was with the University of Michigan. And we would we would communicate and find out which student had graduated or whatever, or that had taken the class, and then we would award them, and then we would give a community award. So I'm glad there's some things that we did through the museum that is out here, and it's not going nowhere.
Why do you think, Catherine, that you were saying that you didn't get any calls for the Black History Month? What do you think it is in terms of why that's?
I done moved, and I have a new number. That's one of the reasons. And it's the people. I'm not out there like I used to be.
It seems like there's a general falling away from it. I don't see it as widespread like in the schools and things like that. It used to be really a big moment in the schools where you have to do something during the month of February.
I was out there at one point, especially when I had the museum. But in the last maybe 2 or 3 years, since I moved, actually, that's when.
You think it's because of Obama's we have a black president?
No, I think it's because I moved and have a different phone number. That's the only reason I can understand it, because I had people that could call me throughout the years that would continue to call me. So, no, I think it's because I have a different number, and these people, I don't see them anymore like I used to. Might be because they think that we have arrived, but no, I don't. For me, I can only say personally for me. And the one lady that would call me all the time, she's done moved from the city of Flint. She's down in Memphis somewhere. So
sometimes we think we've overcome all of the things that we need to overcome in the community, and yet I see things that are deteriorating. I mean, I never thought I would get to a point where they would tell us you couldn't go in Detroit because it's not safe and things like that, and what's happening even here in Flint. So, if people think that we have solved all the problems, they're not, and they're not racial problems, anymore. These problems are community problems. And we're making it racial, but it's not really racial so much as it is.
Not as much as it used to be.
And even then, I'm beginning to reassess what it was about even then. I think it's mostly the politicians, because once you start
I think it's television.
Once you get past Bull Connor, you can't name anybody. Have you noticed that, John? When they start talking about how bad things were in the South, they name a couple of names, then they finish, right? Like the politicians, they say Bull Connor, and they say George Wallace. That's comprehensive to the whole South.
And both for the Democratic Party. But they don't want to admit that.
Yeah, I'm doing some reassessing.
Oh, I will admit that.
Yeah, I'm doing some reassessing of that whole movement, because basically what they were doing.
I got a program on that one.
Was getting those politicians out of the way. Let me. I read Time magazine, Catherine. So I want to read some things here from the news, because I think our listening audience like to hear us talking about some of the things that occurred. Let me first of all tell you that I was one of the persons posting. I guess I posted every day on Chavez, and what I posted was Glenn Beck's piece. They had John. Did you see that satire?
That wasn't you.
They did that satire.
But I read that post. I thought that was from
satire.
you.
Well, the satire that I posted was what Glenn Beck did on his.
Did you put that at the end that was by Glenn Beck?
Where he was crying and acting like he was so broken up and all of that.
Okay, you showed a visual, not just the post that I read.
Oh, you read the post. Okay, you must have read the one about the devil and the four. Yeah, that was.
I said, "Wow, George."
Yeah, I was just simply trying to get in the space of those who thought that we need to go down there and celebrate this guy.
It's a wowie.
Yeah, that was. I got that from another place and I posted on my site. But what I did with Glenn Beck was that last Friday, he was going to do a parody on Chavez, and he and his crew were acting like they were so broken up they just couldn't hardly stand themselves. They boo-hooing and all of that. It was almost as good as acting that went on in North Korea.
I didn't see that one, but I read your post. And I said, "Ooh, George."
I did about 7 pieces on Chavez because I wanted the person to know. Those are getting on my wall saying, "Oh, he's a great leader," and you taking the Western media, and that's all y'all are doing.
Is he the one who they be marching for on here in Chavez? We have a drive named after him, a street.
No, that's Cesar Chavez, who was on the United Farm Workers.
And who is this guy?
Hugo Chavez is the deceased leader of Venezuela. Was in there for 14 years, 1999 to 2013. This one that just died. The one just died.
Okay, and the other one is.
And of course, Sean Penn had to go down there, and all the leftists had to go down there.
I thought it was him.
No, Cesar Chavez deceased a long time ago. He was kind of heroic in a way in terms of him trying to get the unionization of the farm workers out there. We know those workers are being exploited. So
see, I'm mixing them up. I really was bad with that one.
But no, Hugo Chavez, they can claim.
Were they related anyway, or
not
whatever?
Related.
Okay.
Chavez is a fairly common name in the Hispanic community.
Like Smith.
It's like Smith is in America. Smith and Jones, and Moss is not that common.
No, it's not.
John, your name's not that common either. John Wilson. We don't.
Yes, Wilson is common.
Is Wilson that common? Okay, well.
Yeah.
There's only one John Wilson.
Hunter ain't common.
Yeah, I've known four John Wilson myself, besides myself.
John, are you related to Woodrow Wilson?
I hope not, but there's a likelihood. But I never did like anything he stood for, so. Or he did, said, thought, and I don't like him.
Yeah, people were boohooing, and Chavez is passed, and look what he did for the poor. Wait until we get down the road a piece, because all those leftists have done what Chavez did. Have come back this way toward capitalism after that the money ran out, because what they do is that they kill off the producing class, and after a while you don't have any incentive to produce anything, and there's no wealth to redistribute because there's no wealth being created. That's why you see them all come back this way. Cuba did it, China did it, Russia did it, and Venezuela's going to do it. But in the short run, they can take the wealth and redistribute it, which makes the poor happy. And he becomes a populist leader, and it has his dictatorial rule. But that's just for the short term. Wait until the long term kicks in. So
what did he do that was so bad?
Well,
if he was for the poor people.
Well, when you nationalize the industries of the country and you take private property, what you do in the long run, what happens is that you kill investments, because nobody's going to invest in a country and put their property in those countries if they think the state can, in fact, at some point confiscate the private property. In other words, what you see in the world that people that are right on my wall miss is that when you see development in the world, it comes out of two basic things. One is a respect for individual rights, and there can be no individual rights without property rights. So when you make that uncertain in these societies, you then kill off investment, and we've seen that in Venezuela under Chavez. You can cover it up for a while, but over a period of time, you will begin to reap you'll sow those seeds. You'll reap that in the whirlwind later on, and Venezuela is going to suffer the consequences of that. We see cracks in it already.
Do you think America is going to suffer consequences from the Koreans?
Socialism is we about.
I mean, they are talking nuclear threats at this point in time. What's his name? Dennis Rodman going over there to do what?
Here's a comment about Dennis Rodman going to North Korea, coming back and telling us that if we can just get him to play some basketball. It used to be football. Now it's let's get ready for some basketball. He's going to play some basketball.
That's what he played, wasn't it?
He went over and told us that
basketball anyway.
Kim Jong-un. If you are out there, this is Keith Legend. If you're out there, I don't think you're interested in playing in the basketball. That was what Rodman said. I know that he said you like basketball and the president liked basketball. And Rodman is such a, well, let's not even get into that. But he is so off the mark in terms of where reality is, and he's way over here. And he comes back telling us that basketball could be the basis for a dialogue between him and President Obama. Here's what they said about Rodman in Time magazine.
Might be. He do play basketball, and he have beer and all that kind of stuff for certain people. I mean, it might be the
basketball gonna get them together.
Thing, but nuclear.
Give a piece of chance to basketball.
Okay, can he? Does he have enough? Does he have enough nuclear? Bombs that they could reach the United States?
Let me tell you what that's about, because we need to. There's a lot of things.
They got a movie coming out. Yeah. Olympus Has Fallen. You seen that one?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, it's coming out. It's where the United States is taken.
It's taken.
It's taken. The president's taken hostage, and they take over the White House, and that obelisk up there, it gets knocked down like. Sounds like an interesting movie.
Yeah, let me tell you what
Olympus Has Fallen. I think that's the name of it. It's coming out.
Did you ever see those pictures, Catherine, when Kim Jong-il, who was the president dictator's father, who deceased, and did you see any of the videos of the people out in the public square crying?
We talked about that on your show one time.
When you first saw it, did you think those tears were real?
No. Because if something happened to these presidents here in this country, the latter ones, I don't think these people would cry unless they were made to cry, and they probably was made to cry for that guy.
I didn't see one tear. There's not one handkerchief out there, and they were beating the sidewalk. There was not one bloody finger.
He was a strong dictator, wasn't he?
Yeah, Oliver Stone, rather than going down to where Chavez was, in Venezuela, you should have gone to North Korea and recruited some of those persons for Hollywood. Those guys.
He was an abuser of his people too.
That's in your movies. But no,
I think they staged all that personally.
Yeah, it was staged, but because if they didn't go out there in that public square and show that they were not over there jumping up and down and celebrating.
So you say the people were made to come out of their homes.
They better get out there. If you notice their demeanor out there in that public square, they would raise up every once in a while, make sure that camera caught them, because cameras all over North Korea, because those police states are like that, and they had better raise up and let them see those.
It's not here in the United States.
Some of the best acting you've ever seen.
Is this a police country?
It's getting there,
John.
So getting
Getting
there
there.
all the time, man.
Yeah,
It's
getting
Getting there, Big Brother's been watching us.
both parties are party for it, man. They're open for it. They're
Yeah.
pushing for it. Both parties.
Yeah, the
They're
argument.
pushing. It's already done. They got these things all around everywhere. Just start looking up on top of buildings, and you will see cameras up on them buildings.
We are heading
It's
in that
amazing.
direction. See, are we going toward more liberty and more freedom? Are we going in the direction of less liberty and less freedom?
Less.
And so we are heading down the same road. Ann Coulter
Better
was
watch
saying
out.
that we are 60% socialist right now, and it may be more than that. Because look at what the government is taking over. The health care, which is 1/16 of the 1/6 of the economy, 16% of the economy is the health industry. That's now under federal control. Look at the educational instruments where the federal government is involved in it. It has no authorization through the Constitution of being involved.
And the indoctrination that they're doing on our little kids in the schools
That
now, the
is,
children, where they're taking their minds. Their minds is going totally to a left field somewhere. And they started this indoctrination in the school systems with the children, the little children. Get them ready for however they want them to think. And it's sad because it's something I'm studying right now about how they are taking and indoctrinating the babies in the schools, in the elementary school, like say kindergarten, first, second, third grade, and how they're removing certain books to keep them from even knowing this information.
Yes, a lot of that is going on.
Yeah.
I don't think that there are any children coming out of the school, for example, that know anything about the founders.
Or who God is. I mean, they took that out of school and they worked that one.
Yeah.
And they worked it through the children.
Very deliberative in terms of what is taking place. They started those tests at the point of the Civil War. They don't start it back there at the founding of the nation, where we talk about George Washington and James Madison, the father of the Constitution, and things of that sort. The Federalist Papers. I don't think anybody even knows what any of that stands for. What that is. Patrick Henry. We used to read about these patriotic people, and you would get a little heart flutter. You give me liberty, give me death. I only regret that I have only one life to live to give for my country. You feel good about learning things like that.
According to John McCain, though, Patrick Henry was just one of those crazy libertarian kids.
like this guy Rand Paul, right? For in fact standing up saying, we don't want those drones flying overhead here, and what's the
Even
intention?
using them here in the United States that they could just...
Okay, but see now, you like Obama. He was the first president I ever heard wants to have this availability thing, this power available to him, and everybody else is like, some people who are his defenders, staunch defenders, well, he's never will misuse it. I don't care if he'll never misuse it.
I think he might be trying to misuse it now if he's going to use it here in this country.
To
zap you.
Yeah, I haven't questioned. I have
That's a control going on. They just don't know.
So I mean, I think he's overstepped his bounds, and nobody.
He did overstep it when he said that one, John. I heard that one with my own ears.
Well, I posted on Facebook a couple weeks ago, and somebody tried to tell me. Somebody come back like, well, Fox News doesn't count. Where does he want this done? And I went, are you?
It was in the newspaper.
It's all over. I said, I was like, so I defriended that idiot. I said, you're not. I don't even want to know you if you're that stupid to say only Fox News covered this. No, it's on every media outlet.
But have you seen where they're going to take and round up all the American Africans and put them in concentration camps like they did the Japanese?
Who
said
that?
this?
This was on television. I seen this happen on
never heard
TV.
that one.
Okay.
That'd be a parody.
No, I'm not saying.
Oh, really?
I just heard
You
it.
can't tell me they can't do it. They can get National Guard. They can do it if they wanted to do it.
Well, then that's
can
more.
get the Army.
That's
All he
more of
gotta
an
do
argument.
is say,
That's more
do
of an argument then for the Bill of Rights and the Constitution than it is for anything else. If you just stick with that, those rights will be enshrined for the individual, and it can't happen to groups. So that's the reason more of a case that everybody should be behind the Bill of Rights.
Right.
Let me throw something out here that
They can do just about whatever they want to do
Let me say this
and make it legal.
Look, you have to think about why.
Y'all ain't seen that really?
Well, there are a lot of people who have these concerns now, this paranoia kind of thing. I don't think that's
it could happen for the Christians. It could happen for
Let me tell you
anybody.
why I don't think that's.
Well, I'm not paranoid about it. I just asked that had y'all seen
I
that?
haven't seen it, but
Throw that in the scenario.
there are those
about.
persons who are saying that, Catherine. But the reason why
You never know.
the reason why it is not going to happen is because we have to understand what is the basis of the power of those who are running the country and so on and so forth, it is not in their guns. You know what it is? Is in their disguise. They are tyrants, but they have to conceal the tyranny because there are some people out here, like the American people, who have 300 million guns out here, and we outnumber those persons. So what they do, that tyranny, is what Chancellor Williams said in his book, where he says that in Russia they know they're not free, but in America we don't know that. So they have to conceal Bloomberg comes out and we see what he's about, but that's what power is really about in general. But they have to be very careful. And that's why I'm really going to fight to get this convention off the ground, because what I want to do is this. I want to make sure we use constitutional parameters to change the order of this society, things that we are now going through. Because what will happen is two things. Either they'll have to let us go forward with that which is constitutionally allowed, or they have to come behind those veils. Because I don't have any illusion who they are. I know who they are. Anybody that's up there, that stays up there 30 and 40 years, won't go home. And
what was Kyle Levin was the longest senator, congressman ever
in the history, the longest serving senator.
Yeah.
Now Dingell over there in the House served 50 years. And
so
more.
he was longer than
in terms
of
the House, but Levin was elected six terms, and at 78.
So how long is their terms?
6 years in the Senate.
Each
term, 2 years in the House, and for him to have been elected 6 terms, and at 78 to have had a problem walking away, it tells us something about the addiction that power is to these persons. And
they want to stay there.
They want to stay there, and it was never intended as a career.
Yep.
I mean, if you have something to offer, go there and learn the operational things that go on in Washington, come back in your community, and then empower people to be able to make the kinds of roads to Congress, to be able to hold them accountable, teach us how that process works, so we can have accountability without leaders that's that far removed from the local environment. But they want to sit up there what power is, don't want to give it up. And at 78 years of age and still thinking about running again, and you'll be 80-something years old by the time you step down if you don't follow one at your desk. But power is addictive like that. And my proposal is going to be, once we get this convention up and running, and it's going to be up and running, I don't know when, but it's going to take
power, but they get a lot of perks with that. Being in those positions, they get a lot of perks.
One of my proposals is going to be that anybody that's in Congress, by the time we have this convention, we're going to have a constitutional amendment, and that is that anybody that's in Congress that's been up there serving for any period of time, they're going to be barred from serving on the other side of it.
What's your term limit, too?
Here's my term limits will be this: 3 2-year terms for members of the House, which give them a total of 6 years. A single 6-year term for senators, can't run again, and a single term for the president.
But why 6 years for them?
Because the senators serve 6 years. I'm going to put them back where they belong, which is the representatives of the states. Now the states, because the states create the federal government, the idea is they should be longer serving. If you notice it, the senators serve longer than the president. Has anybody asked the question why? The reason why the senators served longer than the president is because those were the states' representatives, and the states had created the federal government, so their representatives served longer than the president. They limited the president to a 4-year term. They didn't limit how many times he could run, but they limited how many years he could serve.
Well, okay, let's come with some local politics. Woodrow Stanley, he's running for what?
He's running for the state senate now.
I thought he was state.
No, he's state
representative.
What these guys do, you see, when you get term limits in place, what these career politicians do is they jump from one office where they're limited to another one where they're not limited, at least at the point of their entry. So they serve the 3 terms in the 2 terms in the House that's allotted. Then they go and join the Senate. Now take Gleason. What Gleason did, he had served all of his terms in the Congress, in the local legislative body in Lansing. So what he did, he ran over here, and now he's the city clerk, county clerk. So once he can't serve anymore in the limited term,
so he come back this way.
They go and serve some other place in public policy.
Okay, Dan Kildee.
Now he's up there in Washington, taking the
And
place
what do you
of-
think about his so far his
I
term?
would not have I would not have ventured him to be in that capacity. I think at some point you got to get her out of public service, quote unquote. How much public service is there to do?
I think they life for career politicians and they ain't getting out.
And that is a problem. And we're going to have to limit their terms so we don't have career politicians. It was never intended.
So you think Woodrow is going? He's going for state senate. Will he eventually go for national?
They do this.
He's going that
The stepping stone.
Yep.
They do a stepping stone from one position to another. They stay in public life. It's not public service. What kind of service
Well,
we
he's
talking
been
about?
there as long as I've known Woodrow. Well, no, I've known him since we were children, but
Most of these
he's
people,
been in it for a long time.
most of these people, what would they be doing if they were not into what they call public service? You know, they call it public service, but what service are we talking about?
And what have they done
Basically, passing laws
for the people?
that restrict liberty. That's another thing needs to go on, and that is to restrict the amount of time that they are in doing public service. We need to limit how much time they sit over there in Lansing, how much time they sit in Washington. It was never intended for them to sit there all year. The Constitution says in Article 1 that the legislative body will meet at least once a year. Just once a year. They are required by the Constitution to meet at least once a year. So you really can meet once and go home. And they sit there.
And they make the decisions for the United States?
For the whole country. And up there.
And meeting one time?
I heard, well, no, I'm saying that their Constitution required to meet at least once a year. Mm-hmm. They're meeting every day.
Okay.
And they take these vacations, but they meet every day that they're meeting. What they're up there doing is passing one regulation after another. I just heard somebody say the other day that they 70,000 pages of new regulations they put into place. We don't need that. What we need is more freedom in the country. Here's some other things.
Leave us alone in our private lives. That's what I say.
Yeah, leave us alone. You know, laissez-faire.
Leave us alone.
Can we get back to this place that we had up until around 1937, where we had pretty much government hands off? You know, not totally, but what Roosevelt did, Franklin Delano Roosevelt did. He put this creeping socialism in here, and now government can't keep its hands off of the private sector. Everything they want to do now, they want to regulate every aspect of
your life, just
American
about
life, and we got to get them out of our space. The government got to back up and get back to what it's supposed to be doing under the limited powers given to them in the Constitution. In the Constitution, which is in Article 1, Section 8, where you have 17 different express powers given to the Congress, and they over here in this expansive role that's not allowed under the Constitution. That's got to happen. I was talking about Time magazine, and I wanted to read a couple of things from Time magazine that I think we should pay attention to. Here's something coming out of about Dennis Rodman.
Oh, we did get away from that, didn't we?
Here's what John Kerry said. John Kerry is now the U.S. Secretary of State. And
is he married?
Married to this woman to get all that money with the Heinz ketchup.
Heinz ketchup, yeah.
One of the wealthiest people on the planet.
Yeah, but, and then they talk about the rich. Look at their wealth. Bloomberg, you got $27 billion, according to some reports. What John Kerry said about Dennis Rodman, I thought this was quite interesting. He said, Dennis Rodman was a great basketball player, and that's where we'll leave it. So him coming back talking about North Korea, he says
trying to be diplomatic and everything.
Basketball player, and when you start talking about getting into the diplomatic arena and talking about play some basketball, and that's going to, you were fighting on the basketball court. So I don't know how that's going to be something going to bring about peace. When you're out there fighting over somebody shooting a basket, hit him on the hand, you're ready to go to war. But to go back to Kim Jong-un, he was standing, Catherine, there's a picture of him standing by the mountainside. He's got these binoculars up, and he's looking in the binoculars to see if the U.S. is getting ready to attack his country. Now, he ain't got no weapons in his hands. Did you see that picture, John? Let me tell you what that picture's about.
You can't see this country.
Yeah, of course
not
you
with
can.
binoculars.
And if the missiles are coming, you think that Kim Jong-un gonna be out there on that mountain? He'd be in some mountainside hiding out in the bunkers.
Yep.
But why is he out there? You know why he's out there? Because when you are a dictator, you can't be seen by the people you kowtow in your country as being the coward you are. All dictators are cowards. They're all paranoid. If you doubt that, look at Saddam Hussein. So they have to appear to be strong even in the face of that which makes them look weak. And that
He's
is
a little short, pudgy guy.
so he's telling his country, all this is show business, leadership, because Kim Jong-un, you're not going to do anything. These are wolf tickets. You're selling wolf tickets. You know what's going to happen if you launch anything this way. You're going to pulverize North Korea. That's just going to happen. So all that's just, show business leadership. But what Kim Jong-un is doing is showing his people how tough he is, trying to hide his cowardice. They're going to still put those sanctions on him, and he's not going to do anything about it but suffer the consequences of it and lunch what? Lunch nothing. Those rockets go over the water. The last one he launched, I think it went 1,600 feet before it collapsed into into the water off North Korea. We got 16,000 nuclear warheads in this country. Country would have to be suicidal to do anything other. You see what they're doing in the Middle East? They're passing off these bombs to these guerrilla groups. The state's not doing anything because they know they're setting targets. So Kim Jong-un is just running his mouth, but he's got to do that in order to maintain power in North Korea, because once they find out what kind of coward he is, then his government is toast. But they have to show that there are these fearless leaders that go up against the mightiest country in the world. I know he's not saying anything about China.
So they're giving aid to guerrillas over in Syria and Egypt and in the Middle East.
Yeah, those guys don't have any weaponry they make. What Iran and those countries do, they pass off these weapons to these guerrilla groups who can go and hide in the mountainside somewhere. And Bin Laden can hide out, but they can't hide out. They're sitting in Tehran, or sitting in Caracas, or Hugo Chavez is not going to do anything but run his mouth. Anybody that thinks we need to go and start hiding under the bunkers because of Kim Jong-un, who's nothing but a little punk over there in North Korea, a country the size of Vermont. You're going to do what? You're going to keep running your mouth over there, and that's all you're going to do. But that's not made for the United States. That's made for the North Koreans. Because what they're saying is they put sanctions on North Korea, and what is their leader going to do about it? We have to come out there and make all these boisterous comments that get ready for war. We're not going to tolerate it. And that's last week. And what are you saying this week? More of that rhetoric. John, next year, we'll see him launch some more missiles over the water, and they'll collapse in the water, and he'll show the people in North Korea how tough he is without doing anything. That's what they are. I mean, don't forget we saw Saddam Hussein hiding out in a hole. Once they came after him, here was this strong leader hiding out in a hole somewhere out there in the boondocks. And when his sons at least fought, when they got him, this guy, I'm the president of Iraq, and I want to negotiate. So who would have thought that Saddam Hussein would want to negotiate? They negotiated him into the Husgau, and then and gave him the last pull on that rope. They
swiftly got rid of him, didn't they?
So that was just the way that they were.
Think about he was on trial. Then I think it took 3 years from the time they found him to the time he actually hung.
3 years. 3 years. Still was swift. To those they still got over there in what is Guantanamo Bay? Did I pronounce it right?
No, he never went there. They never brought him out of Iraq.
Okay.
Because he's found in the country. They put him in jail there. But it's amazing how many of the people started speaking out strongly once they had corralled him. He had kowtowed them. When they saw that he was the coward that he was, they started coming out saying when we want him and all of that. And I mean, look what they did to all these dictators. Look what they did to Gaddafi in Libya, and look what they did.
What did happen to Gaddafi?
Yeah, Gaddafi was caught by trying to escape out of Libya, and they caught him in a drain hole. And
wow.
They didn't even let him get the trial.
I thought he was
he never got the trial.
He didn't? What they do to him?
They killed him right there on the spot. They want to tear his body apart because
Really?
this madman. But
I thought he had got away.
no, he didn't get away, and neither did Mubarak, who now
He in prison, ain't he?
he's in prison. But look at what happens to these cowards once they, in fact, are captured by their people. You'd be surprised of how many of them stand there talking this boisterous talk.
Look at Mussolini. Look at Mussolini, dragged through the streets and hung upside down.
That's right. Look at what happens to all
I
of them.
did get to meet Mubarak and his wife. We
Really?
had dinner with him, yeah, when I was there for the Cradle of Civilization conference. Yeah.
Really? You had dinner with them?
Yeah, we all did. Jesse Jackson, Dorothy Height, we all did.
Okay. No, I wasn't. When I went there, I wasn't that big.
His wife would come to our workshops. We had workshops and stuff.
Well, we got to wrap it up here. And, Catherine, I know I'm getting ready for your show coming up at 3:30. I know you're going to have a really good program. What are y'all doing today at 3:30 on your program?
It's Women History Month, so we're going to be honoring
All right.
American African women.
Stay tuned for that at 3:30 with Catherine and Miss
Or just say Black
Catherine
women.
Blake for the program called Santora's Black History Corner. Santora's Black
History Corner.
Comes on at 3:30. Okay, we have to get out of here. I want to always let you know you should follow your dreams, because if you don't follow your dreams, you'll never know what's on the other side of the rainbow.